cast people out and try to fuck their lives up. Kind of a little bit what it seems to be you're explaining.
Nothing like that. Sorry, but let me finish real quick. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Go ahead, man.
So in any case, I want to go to the third poster. I want to share with you again. Queen Esther replied, "If I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it pleases the king, let my life be given me as my petition and my people as my request." A couple days ago, I went to the police department and to the government, and I showed them a poster. It was a poster of an American military personnel holding a revolver, pointing, but it wasn't pointing at anyone. So I went online and downloaded some pictures of Native American, an African American who was hung, Iraqi soldier that was dead, Afghanistani soldier that was dead, Vietnamese soldier that was dead, Kuwaiti soldier that was dead. There were about 8 of them who had been shot and killed, and then of course a picture of the Klan with their arms open wide. So, like Esther of old, I'm asking today to the American people and the American government and the American police department to remove this Haman who have come into my world unexpectedly. One of the things that I also showed the government the other day was a picture of Arlington Cemetery. Arlington Cemetery filled with nothing but white tombstones of dead soldiers. In other words, these nations that were shot and killed by the military returned the favor by sending back your sons and your daughters in boxes or in bags. And now they're at Arlington. As you can see here in this third photograph, how many have they killed is the question that I asked. And you can see in the photograph 2 coffins being carried by soldiers or by policemen at Arlington Cemetery. This is the response of the nations when the American government sends your military to Afghanistan, sends your military to Iraq and Iran, sends your military to Kuwait or to some Russian territory where there is war between America and that foreign country. So we see there is a response from these people. Unfortunately, at this time, I cannot produce a revolver, nor do I have the power to produce violence to give back what's been given to me for the last 40 years by this Haitian family or this Grace Community Church clan that's been doing this. So like Esther here, who's asking or who's petitioning for her life, I'm petitioning for mine. I don't know what the government is going to do or what their response is going to be for the Haitians that have migrated out of Haiti into Texas territory. I don't know what the government is going to do in response to the Haitians asking for $17 million for 17 missionaries that have been kidnapped. I don't have a clue what their response is going to be. I mean, it's like being caught in a trap here. Here are some Haitians coming up and asking for mercy to live in the United States because of the poverty, but then here are some Haitians pointing the gun and saying, you need to give us money. Now, if we backtrack a little bit, what are we doing here? Was it not the natives who came and said, we want to live in your land? But then also the native who came out with their guns and says, we're going to kill you. Whoa. Were the settlers in that position once upon a time? Can we please live in your country? But here's our gun. And look at how far the gun has gone. Look at how many different countries have been shot and killed by the settlers' gun. Very difficult to be in this situation today where you are now the native and you're dealing with poor people asking you for mercy. And I'm one of them. I'm a Haitian Cuban. And I didn't know the situation was going to lead me to this today. But I have to respond. I feel terrible that this is what has happened after Jean-Claude Duvalier and Aristide and now, I remember his name, but the gentleman that just got killed, the recent president, by the Colombian government. And I'm wondering if the US government used the Colombian government to judge the Haitian people. And I believe that's what God had related to me, that it was a hit from the American government. And maybe it is because of the fact that their president was assassinated by the Colombians from the US government under the Biden administration that this has happened. And I'm wondering, and just remember, in 2010, 300,000 Haitians were killed by an earthquake. And I asked God directly, was it an earthquake or was it a torpedo? I believe it was a torpedo. Torpedoing a Haitian nation, asking black-skinned people to submit to slavery, asking black-skinned people to subject themselves to white supremacy, asking black-skinned people to yield, and if they don't yield, or else. And my question is, or else what? It was God who invited us into this creation. It was God who made us and not we ourselves. I don't know what the Egyptians looked like in the days of Moses when the people of Moses were taken in captivity. I know that Egypt was condemned by God in the Old Testament to never rise again. Egypt should not have done that. That was a cheap shot and a terrible thing to do, to take advantage of a boy named Joseph and that of his people, because they were afraid that the people would multiply and take over the land. But God showed Egypt that that wasn't the case at all. He was preparing the Israelite people, removing them out from under the bondage, which is what he had promised Abraham. He kept his word, brought them to another land, made them fight 7 different nations who were dishonoring God with evil, idolatry, and serving the devil. If those people were obedient to God, God would not have allowed the Jews to do that. And so, I questioned this morning, what exactly are the Haitians doing that is enticing the government of this country to judge them, to the point where now they can't live in the land anymore. They have to leave, remove themselves. I heard something that was really strange. That snakes were biting the farmers of Haiti. It's not that there is no food, it's that the farmers are being killed. And they're being killed by serpents from the United States. I also heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, that there are ships, vessels, that were left. I guess the military, whoever it was, that came onto the island, they were the people, I don't know if they got killed, because the serpents were gathered and put back on the ship. I guess the ships were being used. The military came and, or the government came and asked, where are our people that were on the ships? This is all hearsay, but I'm sharing it with you because when I hear things like that, it makes me wonder of the background situation that leads a nation to take people captive or to take flight out of the country. It's a very, very frustrating thing. And plus, on top of that, my own testimony in this city here. Let's finish the story of Esther. So in verse 5, actually verse 4, we want to go back to that real quickly. It says, "For we have been sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be killed, and to be annihilated. Now, if we had only been sold as slaves, men and women, I would have remained silent, for the trouble would not be commensurate with the annoyance to the king. Then the king Ahasuerus asked Queen Esther, who is he and where is he who would presume to do thus?" Where is Gabrielle Franklin, Americans? I've been listening to her on the intercom since 1985. This stalker who've been after me. When I was on Grace Community Church property, John MacArthur came out on the intercom just like Gabriel. And I thought to myself, this can't be. This woman has followed me from the East Coast, which was 2,500 miles, to California, and now I'm up here in Portland, and MacArthur took her position. I don't understand these people and where they're coming from. I thought this man was a man of God. I thought this man was an expositor of Scripture. Why is it that he's taking the position of this woman? This doesn't make any sense. So the question the king says is, who is he? Where is he? Who is Dr. MacArthur? Where is Dr. MacArthur? Who is Gabrielle Franklin? Where is Gabrielle Franklin?
Do you have a pen I can have?
Where is Gabrielle Franklin?
Right.
Why is it that I haven't seen her in nearly 35 years? Why is it that she's hiding in the shadows, stalking me, waiting for me to go to sleep so she can molest me in front of the American people? And to the American people, it's funny, but to me it's an insult. It's humiliating. It's degrading. It's a cut down. Why? Listen to these words that the Apostle Paul have written to Timothy. This is the qualification for a pastor. What does Paul say here in 1 Timothy? Paul says to Timothy, a man that he meets in Philippi, he says to Timothy, there are two letters. In the first letter, in other words, a person can't just get up in the morning and say, I'm going to become the next pastor teacher.